So this week I was using some AMRAPs in my training, and I think that AMRAPs can be an incredibly valuable tool for powerlifters, but I also think that a lot of lifters use them suboptimally. So today I want to explain how I use AMRAPs and how I suggest that you incorporate them into your training if you choose to do so. Excuse me. The first thing you should remember about AMRAPs if you're a powerlifter is that you shouldn't really be doing as many reps as possible. Right? Traditionally, I think when people think of AMRAPs, they either think of CrossFit workouts or they think of repping out, going to absolute failure. In my opinion, either of those are a little bit misguided because they're very difficult to recover from. Both mentally and physically, gearing up to do your absolute maximum is really exhausting. And if you're incorporating that into the scheme of a larger training program, you're probably going to run into issues sooner or later. That brings me to the second point, which is I really think that you should use AMRAPs sparingly. I don't think that these are something that you should be using week in and week out. And that's one of the problems that I have with programs like 531 that really rely on them as the meat of the program. Yes, AMRAPs are a nice way to auto-regulate your training, but at the same time, again, they just beat you up a little bit, even if you're saving 1 or 2 reps in the tank on each set, which I really, really recommend that you do if you choose to use these. So for myself, the way I kind of make that process a little bit more manageable, first, I generally only include 1 or 2 AMRAPs per lift per training cycle. So training cycle 6 to 8 weeks, I'm doing 1 or 2 AMRAPs for each lift. And sometimes I'll split those up, sometimes I'll do them all in the same week. It really depends on my goals. The other thing, this time I happen to be doing them all in the same week. The other thing is I usually don't do them as my first set. I usually don't just, warm up and then go straight into an AMRAP. Usually, I'll take the same weight that I'm going to use for the AMRAP and I'll do it for a pretty easy set of 1 to 3 reps. So that's what I did in each of these cases. I did whatever my AMRAP set was going to be. I did that for a triple, except on deadlifts. Then I did it for 4 cluster singles instead, and then I repped out. That's really nice because you can kind of, if you find that the singles are heavy or the triple is heavy, you can adjust the weight a little bit. You can knock it down so that you get your target number of reps if you have one. And if you feel like it's really light, you can bump it up a little bit. It gives you a little bit more wiggle room, and it helps you to manage your fatigue a little bit better. So that's a method that I really recommend. Finally, when you are including AMRAPs, make sure that you're not then exhausting yourself on all your other accessory work. I kept all my accessory work super, super light this week because I knew that I was pushing it pretty hard on the AMRAPs. I was going to RPE 9.5, 10 on squat, bench press, and deadlift. That's a lot of work. So then when I did something like these front squats that you're watching here, I made sure to keep them manageable, somewhere around, RPE 8, where I think I have at least 2 reps in the tank, probably 3 or 4 or 5. And that way I still get work in. I still am able to deal with a pretty decent amount of volume for my total week. But at the same time, I'm managing my long-term fatigue, right? I'm thinking ahead. Okay, I've got 2 weeks left in this training cycle, and then I'm going into meet prep. I need to be fresh. I can't be wearing myself out, trying to rep out with heavy weights. So those are 3 methods that I think that you should really, really keep in mind when you are using AMRAPs as a strategy in your training. This is something that I've written about before quite extensively, so rather than going into a ton of detail, I really just wanted to share my training footage from this week, give you an overview, and then in the comments below, or in the description below, I'm going to link that article that I wrote for Barbend so that you can read more in detail about that. And then I'll also be doing a follow-up for Elite FTS that you guys can check out as well, that'll give you answers to some common questions that are going to come up, that I'm sure they will. And please do ask questions if you have them. Again, I know this was a quick video. I do hope it was helpful. I think that looking at very small aspects of your programming like this are really important. If you're interested, I go more in detail about AMRAPs in my 12-week power building program as well. So there's plenty of resources out there for this strategy.